Hello everyone, Krista Cis here, and today for the exercise of the week, we will have an exercise that will help you do a couple of things. One, of course, is targeted to the embrace to help us connect the dots between the hands all the way into the torso. And second of all, it will help us release tension. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there are definitely days that I feel tension along the neck, the shoulders, the shoulder blades. So generally, the shoulder joint is relatively a lot more flexible compared to the hip joint and compared to other hips. There's a lot of movement there. So oftentimes we tend to go way past our limits and experience pain and other trouble. So this will be an opportunity for you to explore the range of motion you have in your shoulder joint and in the scapula, and also to, if you are holding any scar tissue from past injuries or any tension whatsoever, it will help you relax a little bit. Okay, so with no further ado, here we go. So I'm sorry, I will not be facing you for this initial exploration, but it is for a good cause. Let's start finding the clavicle. So find this ridge here that we have, and then go over it and gently press and find the top of the shoulder blade. There's a little bony part because the shoulder blade looks like a weird triangle or a like a half or like a little wing. So so it has a little triangle top here, peak. So find that, gently press, very gently, it's somewhere about here, very gently press and start to move your shoulder blade from there. So not moving your arm, it might help you find it if you do, but moving your shoulder blade around that spot. So your arm is going to move as a consequence, but it's not your arm moving. And you'll notice that this tends to, I'm going to gently turn, tends to bring our shoulders in. So stay where you are and then keep going down and slightly outward because that's the path the shoulder blade follows. And you're going to find another bone, this one right over here. And you go over it and you settle somewhere below it, very gently pressing. And that's the area of the center of gravity of the scapula. So if we could hold our scapula and balance it, it would be somewhat approximately there. So now start moving your shoulder blade around that spot and notice what that does to your whole upper body. Notice also the space that allows you to explore and feel between the scapula and the rib cage. And slowly and gently come to a pause and release. So notice how the shoulders have reoriented, or this shoulder has reoriented without me pulling the shoulder blade down or in or anything like that. Just allowing for the shoulder blade to reorient itself. So let's go over to the other side. So this is the clavicle. You find this bone and you go over it and you find the tip. You find the tip of the scapula and you gently press. If you need some feedback, you can move your arm and you're like, oh, okay. Or move, your shoulder up and down and you'll find it. So you press very gently and you start moving that scapula from this point, as if your scapula is hanging like a pendulum. It's hanging from one tip and moving like a pendulum. And again, the shape of the scapula, imagine, is like a little wing. And maybe if I turn, you can see it forming through my top. Okay. Notice the whole body position. You can now make a mental comparison to the other shoulder and then find this other bone right here. You go over it again, over it and slightly outward. So not over it and slightly inward, over it and slightly outward. And you find this spot and you start there. And you start to move the shoulder blade around this spot. It also, now that you can, maybe you can notice other things that are happening. It also moves your arm, allows your arm to move slightly differently compared to before. Good. And gently pause and release the hand. There we go. And just take a moment to notice how the shoulder blades are feeling now. Now we'll probably have a better map also of how our back is. And you can place one hand on the shoulder if you like, if that helps you. We're just going to move the arm. And I want you to imagine an axis, the axis for this joint. So it's not an axis that goes parallel to the floor, because our arms are set on an angle, similarly to our legs. So our arm is going, if you want to stay congruent, that's why with this joint, you can place one hand here. You will start feeling it when either a pinch at the back, like I'm feeling now, or a pinch at the front and a stretch at the back and a pull. So you don't want to feel pulls and pinches. You want to feel that you're respecting this shape and you're moving within it. And as you're moving, you're going to feel at some point that there is an end to it. And in order to keep going, you need to start moving the shoulder blade to bring your arm overhead. And you come back down. So reach your end, come back, reach your end, come back. One more time, come back, reach your end, and now start reorienting the shoulder blade like we did before and bringing your arm overhead and come back down. And let's change over to the other side. So we don't want to go, we want to feel the hug of the shoulder joint, how the shoulder joint hugs the arm bone. And then we want to feel the limits. And then we want to see, okay, if I want to go and lift my arm past it without pinching or pulling, how can I do it? So let's reach the limit and then orient our shoulder blade to bring the arm overhead. So you want to start finding those relationships. Come back down and let's do it to the limit, to the limit. Let me turn this way. So you see there is a little arch, like a C that I'm creating towards you. Last one. And this time we're going to reach the limit, but then I want to take this arm overhead. So instead of doing funny business like this, I'm going to start reorienting the shoulder blade. And imagine me holding it from this spot that we were finding before. and allowing it to change its orientation. And so, whoops. And so let's swing both arms up, swing to the limits. Good. One last time. Stay up and find those shoulder blades. See if how you can reorient them to lift your arms up all the way overhead and release. I'm just going to turn so you can see my back. Last time. Hold. This is your limit. Don't go up like this. You can see how this is starting to create a little bit of an issue. Instead, reorient the shoulder blades. So that whole area starts to change and your arms become part of this winged shape that the scapula has. And release.